So our story was Joshua, and I'm reporting on Shirley and Grau, who's the author. Shirley Ann Grau was born on July 8, 1929 in New Orleans to Adolph and Catherine Grau. She had one sister. Her paternal grandfather migrated from Prussia to the U.S. shortly before the Civil War. Her maternal grandfather, of Scottish descent, migrated here from Indiana. Both of her grandmothers were Spanish and French, so she had a very diverse ethnic background. Her diverse family history attests to the cultural diversity in the South, which is a theme that later becomes prominent in her writing. She moved to Montgomery, Alabama in the early 1930s and attended the Booth School. Then she moved back to New Orleans for her senior year of high school and graduated from Ursuline Academy. She grew up in a very integrated neighborhood. The topic of racism came up a lot, but she tried not to let it affect her. She didn't really care about, here's African American kids, here's white kids. She wasn't into the whole segregation thing, and that also becomes prominent in her writings later. She attended the Sophie Newcomb College in Tulane. She graduated in 1950 with a bachelor's degree in English. She was later inducted into Phi Beta Kappa. She was denied a teaching assistant position in the English department because the chair of the English department wouldn't hire a female teaching assistant. So she left and chose to continue writing fiction instead of completing her master's thesis. While she was still in school, she published her first short story in April 1948. The story appeared in Surf, which was a university publication. Between 1948 and 51, she published So Many Worlds, The Shadowy Land, The Lonely Ones, The Things You Keep, and The Fragile Age in Carnival, which was another university publication. 1955 was a big year for Grau. She married James Kern Feebleman, who was a philosophy professor at Tulane. 1955 was also the year that she published her first collection of stories, which is called The Black Prince and Other Stories. 3 of the stories that appear in this collection were also published in other literary journals before they came out in The Black Prince. One of the stories was Joshua, which is what we read, and that was published in the New Yorker. Another story was White Girl, Fine Girl, which came out in New World Writing. And The Black Prince appeared in the New Mexico Quarterly. She had 4 children, Ian, Nora, William, and Catherine. While she was establishing her career as a writer, she and her husband spent their time between Louisiana and Massachusetts. They spent their summers in Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts, and their winters in New Orleans, in the little suburb of Metairie. She enjoyed duck hunting, music, and sailing in her free time. Her connection with Louisiana really influenced her work. For her first novel, The Hard Blue Sky, the climate and weather of Louisiana is represented. She uses the harsh conditions and natural violence of hurricanes in that story. During the height of the Civil Rights Movement in 1964, she wrote The Keepers of the House, which was given a Pulitzer Prize in 1965, 1 year later. And this is just a list of some of her other works, some of her other novels, and her collection of stories. Grau's still alive, so no death to report on. She still divides her time between Massachusetts and New Orleans and remains active in the Southern literary community, recently holding a creative workshop in New Orleans in April and May of 2009. There's my works cited. And that's it.